The sound of pages turning means it's time for another episode from the Meredith Library Podcast Studio, bringing you the library's latest news, information, and fun.
Good afternoon, MaryBeth.
Good afternoon, Matthew.
And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to episode number 47 of Check It Out, here at the Meredith Library Podcast Studio. We are so excited to bring you The Journey of a Book. I just love that title.
Sounds like a book title, actually.
I know, it totally should be. All right, so we are going to explain to our listeners stuff that goes on in the background here at our library and at libraries all over the world, really. What is the process for how a book ends up on our shelves?
Right. So starting at the very beginning of the book's journey, rather, I think each of us does a little part of the research factor for this, whether it's in the teen room or the children's room or for the general public, like for the new releases, what's popular, stuff like that. So we all kind of like share in that duty here at the library.
So we're calling the research factor how we decide what books we want to add to our collection, right?
Correct. If there's a book club that's doing a specific new release, if it's a genre that, like the mystery book club or the brown bag, whatever they've decided, we have to do a certain amount of research to see, how we can source that title out. It could be a request from a patron, or if somebody was doing some research and we didn't have that book on hand, or they needed additional material to support what they were researching, we would look into that to see what we could acquire for that individual.
Then I would say another way we would be exposed to new titles would be from the publisher's catalogs.
Absolutely. Yep, we get those new releases every month, actually.
And then sometimes, too, publishers' catalogs will actually push, for lack of a better word, or introduce us to titles or to genres or themes that may not actually be new releases anymore, but they're talking about building your collection for something. And I have an example of that for large print. So I actually had wanted to look into Westerns, so I had that on my list of things to do. And then completely coincidentally, one of the large print publishers was suddenly doing this multi-page feature on Westerns saying, hey, build your large print Western collection. And it worked out perfectly. They were presenting a whole bunch of them with big names in the industry and some maybe more classic, as well as the new releases for those names and for new authors. So it worked out perfectly to suddenly build up that genre or that subgenre.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, that's perfect. Perfectly explained, Matthew.
All right. Well, I thank you, MaryBeth. And another way could be even book donations. So, we always tell people when they call the library and they ask if we accept book donations, that very small percentage of them may actually end up on the library shelves. But it is possible. That is one way that things come in. So when books are donated to the library, a very small percentage of them do end up on the shelves. And it can be either because someone recognizes that a donated copy is a book that we already have and it is in better condition than the one we have, so they can be swapped out. Or sometimes it can be something like, say it's New Hampshire history. So there's going to be a lot of interest in it. And then someone will look at that and say, hey, do we have this book? Because this looks like something our patrons would like. And if we don't have it, then it can be added to the collection.
Also, if it's a very popular book and we acquire an additional copy from the donation pile, like Kristen Hanna's The Women.
That's what I was going to say as the example.
Yeah, we just we'll grab that and catalog it because it's literally flying off the shelf and we need to keep up with the demand.
Yep, so. Absolutely. All right, great. So then let's move on to the second step as we've identified. I don't know if these are the official steps out there, but in the Matthew and MaryBeth version, the next step would be ordering the title. So how does that happen?
That is a simple sort of exchange. We just, we decide the source where we're going to shop. Amazon is a good example, or we source it out the best way that we can to ensure we get like the lowest price. We order it and we anxiously await for its arrival.
Yes, and I can think of a few other things because I'm the one who orders the large print ones. So there are actually 3 different large print vendors.
Oh, wow.
And you can buy things that each one has only the titles that they are putting out. When Baker and Taylor was in full operation, they actually had some coming from those vendors, but then you weren't buying them from the actual publishers directly. And also, too, every now and then from Innisfree, the local bookstore.
Absolutely, especially if it's a local author that we're supporting.
Mm-hmm. All right, and the third step, this one is probably the least well-known. People know what happens, but they don't know any details, and that is cataloging. So let's define cataloging first.
Cataloging is sort of how the book gains its identity and how it's entered into the catalog. So
to our systems,
to
into
our
the computer.
system. Yeah. So there's a standardized digital format that libraries use, and we use it to store, exchange, and manage the bibliographic information about items, such as books, DVDs. Basically, all of our holdings get what they call a MARC record.
So there's that acronym, MARC, MARC record, and that stands for?
Machine Readable Cataloging.
So the A is the A in machine. They kind of trick you a little bit.
Correct.
Okay, so it's MARC, Machine Readable Cataloging Record.
Yeah, so there's a standard format, and it's basically like the universal language for library data.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's basically it for cataloging. I don't know. Do you have any other specific?
Yes. What are the different data points that make up a record for it? I'm assuming one of them would be the copyright date. Another one is going to be the publisher, the title itself, obviously, the ISBN number.
Yeah, so we have
ISBN.
the ISBN number. Bibliographic data contains the essential information for a singular item, including the description, the author, the subject, and the classification. Other tags and fields, they use different indicators to label different specific elements, making that all machine readable. It's just a label for how you can seek the book out within our catalog. So it's a description that's formatted for each item that we acquire.
All right, so once the items have their records and everything is typed into these computer databases, then what happens?
So this ensures that the automated library catalogs can be searched up efficiently. All of what I just tried to explain was developed by the Library of Congress.
Oh, cool.
So that's like a detailed last part of the cataloging bit.
So everything has been cataloged, entered into these computer databases, and it could now be searched. But what about the actual physical book itself? What is the name of the next step?
So after the book is cataloged, that generates a spine label. And that is what we place on the book's cover so that you can find it after it's been genreified. The library aides here will then start the process of dressing the book.
So that's the phrase, dressing
the book.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So the book will get a spine label, a genre sticker. It'll get covered and
by that, because the books come in with a cover on them, but we were talking about almost like in school, we used to cover your textbooks.
Exactly.
Not with an old paper bag. This is with some kind of that thick plastic.
It's a plastic cellophane that it's see-through, so it protects the original dust cover on the book.
Is that Demco? Is that where all those things come from?
We do order from Demco, yes. Yep.
So it's a library supply company, if people aren't familiar with it.
Yep. So the books will get dressed. They'll get their labels, their spine labels, the genre stickers. They'll get covered. And then they are ready to be placed on the shelves.
So they're ready for their big debut. They've gotten ready for the party.
They're ready to be handled and read. And the covers will protect from, a little bit of moisture or rain if you're bringing it to and from the library. But obviously, they don't really protect them from all of the elements, like bringing your book to the lake.
I was going to say, like when the book lands on the lake.
Mm-hmm.
We have heard that once or twice.
At least.
It's all right, though. Bring it back. We'll make it work one way or another.
That could lead us to our weeding piece.
So that's weeding. Weeding is a librarian term for...
Right. If you're not reading, you're weeding.
Nice. Okay.
Weeding the collection is a term that we often use. Most libraries do it annually. I think you take a collection or a specific genre and you look at it more closely to determine, hey, do I want to create room on the shelf to expand this collection with new titles? Do I want to swap out any of the damaged books? And you go through a series of assessments for your collection in that manner, and you see, hey, this particular book hasn't been checked out in, like 6 or 7 years.
So you're running a circulation report to determine.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because you could imagine that would be very tedious to handle each book and see, gone are the days where you open up the dust jacket and you look and you can see the stamp.
Right, that's probably what they used to do. But.
Some libraries still do that. They stamp a book. It's classic, right?
That's true. We do. We get some interlibrary loans from libraries that do that. You're right.
So when you weed, you're sort of looking at, your shelf space, the relevance and accuracy of the book that you're looking to weed. You want to decide if you're going to replace old facts, if it's a science book, for example.
Right, or especially computer instruction manuals.
Yes, exactly that. You want to make sure that the information is current and you have like a trustworthy resource.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of other things fall into that criteria as well, as far as, is the book dusty or...
So condition.
Yeah, condition. Sometimes in-demand books, they're more than gently loved. And that would be something that we would swap out with a newer copy.
When a book is weeded, what happens to that book? So what happens to the copy of, Windows 7 for Dummies?
Well, we try to find it a new home. Most of the things get stamped with a withdrawn stamp. And then we bring it downstairs to Eliza and the friends who process most of the donated books.
Right, MaryBeth, I think that was a very fascinating kind of behind the scenes look. We haven't done one of those in a long time. Just give people an idea of how things run in the background. Like, how do you run a library? What does it take to just get things through the process? In this case, books or audiobooks or whatever.
It's informative. I hope that people find it interesting. It's a lot. There is a lot that goes into acquiring a book and how it has its own little journey from point A to point B. How does it get into your hands, so that you can read it? There's a lot of steps. So
yes, and we didn't pull the numbers to see like how many we do maybe per week or per month or something. But, it sounds like we're describing this process and it could be like, oh, well, that's simple. But that's if it was one. I mean,
yeah.
So when I order the large print books, I very often will order 10 or more at a time. And as you know, because you see those piles of books sitting on the desk to be, be processed somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's an ongoing thing too, obviously, for, we have audiobooks, nonfiction books, fiction books, the large print books, there's always some item, and the DVDs, let's not forget those too. So there's always some item going through some step of this process that we talked about today. This is a constant ongoing thing throughout the library.
Absolutely correct. And for each department head too. So we have like the general population collection, right? Fiction and nonfiction.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the DVDs, the audiobooks, the television series. And that's just for the adult collection. We have the children's room and then the teen room. It's collection development could be its own little episode here,
mm-hmm.
as far as the research that goes into that as well. All the subcategories you have to first actually weed your collection before you can add anything into it.
Right, to physically make room.
You need to have the shelf space. So weeding is a very important part of this process.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, I think that was a great overview. And if people have questions about a particular thing, they can, of course, ask at the circulation desk. And if it gets back to us, we could cover it on a future episode as well.
Absolutely.
All right, as always, a pleasure speaking with you, MaryBeth.
Same to you, Matthew.
All right, we'll see everyone next time for the next exciting episode of Check It Out.
Goodbye, Matthew.
Bye, MaryBeth. Bye, everyone. Podcast music titled Daytime TV Theme by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0.
Podcast copyright 2026, Meredith Library Podcast Studio.